Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod Science classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to see current affairs of 19th July 2021. So let's get started with our discussion and let's see first topic. So first of all, in this lecture, we are going to discuss 7 topics which are very much relevant to UPSC point of view. So first article mainly says that 31 killed as rain triggers mayhem in Mumbai. So this article mainly talking about heavy rains in Mumbai. So here what you need to focus. Here you need to focus why Mumbai it is prone to heavy rains. So this is the first thing you need to remember. And as well as one important word which is given here is landslip or landslide. So you have to also know about that landslide. So this is important from this topic. So this topic is important from GS paper 1 which mainly comes under geography. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So if you see context, it mainly says that at least 31 persons including 8 minors, they lost their lives as incessant rains, that is sudden and high rainfall which began in Mumbai on Saturday, and this rainfall continued throughout Sunday. So because of this heavy rainfalls in Mumbai, that led to triggering of a landslip and as well as house collapse and as well as electrocution. So because of these things, so that led to loss of lives. So this is context. And now let us focus on why heavy rains are seen in Mumbai. So if you are seeing location of this Mumbai, it is located towards here western coast, right? So as you all know that this southwest monsoons, so whenever it is hitting this coast of Kerala on June 1st, then it will be divided into 2 branches. So first branch, it is our Arabian Sea branch. Second one is Bay of Bengal branch. So whenever Arabian Sea branch which is moving like this, as you know here we have Western Ghats, right? So whenever winds which are coming or winds whenever coming and they are bringing some moisture from Arabian Sea, so they are called as moist laden winds. So whenever these moist laden winds, whenever they are hitting this Western Ghats, that will lead to rainfall, right? So because of this, as we all know, so this western coast of India which is getting heavy rainfall. So this is one important reason that you need to remember. So it is mainly linked to position of city. So this city mainly located on windward side, it receives heavy rainfall. And second one is it is also having direct line with low pressure system which mainly forms over Bay of Bengal. So whenever here low pressure system which forms in Bay of Bengal, it is also having some impact, okay? And next one is low pressure system, then they move towards westwards, okay? So whenever this low pressure thing which is mainly formed in this Bay of Bengal, so this mainly move towards here Kerala, okay, that is westwards. So because of this we can see increasing rainfalls. So the intensity of rainfall which is also increasing every year, okay? So what happened whenever it is mainly low pressure area which is created in Bay of Bengal, that is moving towards westward, okay? So because of this westwards it is moving. So because of this it can also have some impact on this Mumbai region and even west coastal region and even in this coast of Andhra Pradesh, Orissa and as well as West Bengal region. So this is also one important reason that you need to think about. And one more thing here is because of increasing of rapid urbanization. So because of improving or increasing of this rapid urbanization, so we are mainly going for building of many things, many construction work is happening. So because of this we can see concretization. So because of this concretization which mainly destroyed natural percolation ability of soil. So because of this it decreased surface runoff and as well as it mainly decreased absorption capacity of water. So this is leading to increased flash floods like situations in Mumbai. So these are 3 important reasons. So first we discussed about position or location of this city. So it is mainly located on windward side. And next one is here low pressure system which mainly forms over Bay of Bengal, that is also having impact on Mumbai because winds are moving towards westwards. And next one is intensity of rainfall, which is mainly increasing year by year. So it is according to data of IMD, Indian Meteorological Department. And next one here is because of increase in urbanization, we are mainly going towards construction activities, developmental activities that led to concretization, increase in use of concrete. So it decreased natural percolation ability of soil such that it increased surface runoff and as well as flooding in Mumbai. So these are some important things that you need to remember. And now let us focus on what is this landslide. So this landslide is one important topic under your disaster management and also under your geography point of view. So if you're talking about this landslide, what is the definition of this landslide? So this landslide mainly refers to movement of mass of rocks or debris or earth down the slope. Okay. So if there is any mass of rock is present, or we can say debris, or we can say earth which is mainly slipping down, it is called as landslide, or we can say landslip. So it is also called as, in short, downward movement of a soil and rock under direct influence of gravity. So because of this gravity, what happened? There is a downward movement of rocks and as well as soil, etc. So it is mainly because of direct influence of gravity. So you have to remember here this word gravity. So it is a key word. And if you're talking about causes of this landslides, so first one here, it is gravity. So mainly forces which is acting downward movement of this rocks and as well as debris as well as soil, which is gravity. So this is the first important cause. And other three major factors of this landslides are, first one is geology. So if you're talking about geology means in simply characterization of materials or minerals. So earth or rock might be very much weak or fractured in that area. So because of this, whenever there is a gravity force which is mainly acting, so that will leads to slip. And next one is morphology. So slopes, if you are talking about slopes of hills or mountains, they will be having some vegetation. So whenever this vegetation is lost in this area, soils become very weak. So whenever there is heavy rainfall, means what happened? So because of this rainfall, so this soil will be saturated with water and they will move down. And next one is human activity also leads to this landslides. For example, whenever we are going for agriculture, that means zooming agriculture or shifting agriculture. So in that way, what happened? We are removing this natural vegetation there. So because of this, it is also leading to this landslides and even construction activities. So these are some important causes for this landslide that you need to remember. And now let us focus on what are the mitigation measures that can be taken. So first one here is, we can go for restriction on construction and other developmental activities. For example, roads and as well as dams along the hill slopes. And we need to limit agriculture to valleys and as well as areas with moderate slopes but not steep slopes. And next one is, we need to control development of large settlements in high vulnerability zones. So in this high vulnerability zones, we need to control large settlements. And next one is, we need to promote large scale afforestation, and we can go for construction of buds along this slope. Okay. So that will help to decrease in flow of water. And next one is, we can also go for terrace farming instead of shifting farming. So this terrace farming can be encouraged in northeastern states where this zooming cultivation or shifting cultivation is still persistent in this area. Okay, so this is just of this topic and I hope it is extremely clear. And now let us say next topic. Title says midday meals leave a long lasting impact study. So this article mainly focusing on one important scheme, that is midday meals scheme. So this topic will be important from schemes, policies and programs of government, which mainly comes under GS paper 2 and also under governance. And you can write about this topic whenever you are writing any answer regarding whatever the steps which are taken by government for development of children and address malnutrition. So this is the first scheme there you can write. And regarding this midday meal scheme, you can also expect prelims questions, because recently this midday meal scheme which is very much high because of this COVID-19 pandemic. What happened? There is shutdown of schools, right? So because of this, there is no midday meals program, and recently government mainly announced that, so instead of going for this midday meals now in this pandemic, so students who are enrolled under this government school who used to get this midday meals scheme, they will be given some amount of money as stipend every year. Okay, so now till schools will be opened. So this is the thing which, because of this midday meals scheme in news, and as well as recently this midday meals program is also under news, because here government which is also talking about to extend this midday meals program, and they want to provide even breakfast in the schools. So because of this is the news, and this is background that you need to know. And now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So if you see context, it mainly says that girls who had access to free lunches provided by government schools and children with higher height to age ratio than compared to children who are not getting food under this midday meals scheme. Okay, girls who had access to this free lunches which is provided by government schools under this midday meal scheme. So in that children, here research or study found that there is higher height to age ratio than compared to children who are not coming under this meal, okay, midday meal. That means they are going to private schools. And this is the study which is mainly published in Nature Communications. So if you're talking about details, it mainly says that there is prevalence of stunting was significantly lower in areas where scheme was implemented in 2005. So actually this scheme was implemented or started in 1995. The prevalence of stunting was significantly lower in areas. Okay, so here stunting, which is mainly we can say like low height to age, and wasting means low weight to age. So stunting means it is talking about height. So prevalence of height that is short, was significantly lower in areas where the scheme was implemented. And if you are talking about data which mainly says that more than 1 in 3 Indian children, they are facing problem of this stunting, that is too short for their age. So it is one of important indicator of chronic undernutrition. Okay, so because of chronic undernutrition, we can see problems like stunting and as well as wasting are most prevalent. Okay, more than 1 in 3 Indian children, they are facing problem of this stunting. And next one is there is also fight against stunting has often focused on boosting nutrition or for our children. Okay, so here whenever we are trying to fight against this malnutrition or undernutrition, so we are mainly fighting against stunting and as well as wasting. So here we need to focus on boosting of nutrition for younger children such that we can handle or tackle this situation. And next one is nutritionalists also have been argued that maternal health and as well as well-being of mother, which plays an important role or key to reducing stunting of their offsprings. So in this context, International Food Policy Research Institute, it mainly said that this midday meal scheme, so this scheme mainly associated with 13 to 32% of improvement in height for ages scores. So this data which is very important, that is International Food Policy Research Institute. So this Food Policy Research Institute, which mainly says that this midday meal scheme which mainly associated with 13 to 32% of improvement in height for ages, okay, that is between 2006 and 2016. So between this 2006 and 2016, so whenever we came up with this scheme, so there is decreasing of stunting that is seen by 13 to 22%. And this article also says that there is a linkages between midday meals and as well as lowering stunting. They were very much stronger in low socio-economic strata. Okay, so here when you want to address with this challenge of stunting, so we can work mainly through women's education, fertility, and as well as we can use some healthcare services which are mainly provided. And now let us try to focus on some important basics regarding this midday meal scheme. So this midday meal scheme, it is a centrally sponsored scheme. That means funds mainly shared between center and the states. And this scheme launched in the year 1995. And it is one of world's largest school meal program. An important aim of this program it is to attain the goal of universalization of primary education. So many children they will be not sent to school, okay, mainly because they will be helpful in their household activities. But whenever we are providing meals means here for nutrition also here parents they will send their children to school. Okay, so for this we can also achieve our dream of increasing our education or literacy. Okay, so in this way here we can tackle malnutrition on one side, and as well as we can also access or we can also attain goal of universalization of this primary education. Okay, and if you're talking about further more details, so under this scheme it mainly provides cooked meals to every child within age group of 6 to 14 years who are studying from 1 to 8 class who enrolls and attends the schools. And if you're talking about objective of this scheme, the first one here is it will help to address hunger, malnutrition, and it is also focusing on primary education. So because of whenever schools are providing this free meals, that will also increase enrollment ratio and attendance in schools, and also it improves socialization among caste, and finally it will be also helpful for providing employment at grassroots level. Okay, so what are the objectives? First one, it is mainly addresses hunger and malnutrition. It will also increases enrollment and as well as attendance in school. It will also improve socialization among caste, and also it provides employment at grassroots levels. And if you're talking about quality check, they will be taking only AG mark products. So AG mark it is a quality items, they are mainly procured for providing free meals for children, and tasting of these meals that can be done by 2 by 3rd adult members of school management committee. And if you're talking about regulation of this scheme, who will regulate? So state steering monitoring committee, which mainly oversees about this implementation of this scheme. So it mainly includes establishment of a mechanism for maintenance of nutritional standards and quality of meals. Okay, it will be taken by the state steering committee, monitoring committee. And if you're talking about nutrition standards, so under this cooked meals, here nutrition standards of about 450 calories and 12 grams of proteins that will be given for primary school children, that is 1 to 5 years, and 700 calories and 20 grams of protein that will be given for upper primary, that is from 6th to 8th classes. So this is about nutritional standards. And if you're talking about issues and challenges regarding this scheme, so first one is we can see corrupt practices. Okay, so they will not procure quality things, or they will be like some schools they will not provide food for children adequately according to norms. And next one is caste bias and as well as discrimination also can be seen here. And because of this COVID-19 pandemic, so it disrupted this scheme entirely. And there is also menace of malnutrition which is evident. And if you're talking about hunger and nutrition in India, so there are two important reports that you need to keep in mind. So first one is Global Nutrition Report 2020, which mainly says that India, which is mainly seen among 88 countries. So in these countries, they are likely to miss global nutrition targets of 2025 because of this COVID-19 pandemic. And next one is Global Hunger Index. So Global Hunger Index of 2020. In this Global Hunger Index, India ranked 94 out of 107. So here you can imagine how hunger which is prevalent in India. And India has a level of hunger that is very much serious. So these are some important things that you need to remember. And now let us move on to next topic. Title says Kerala keeping watch on reservoirs after rain alert. So this article mainly talking about rain alert. So who will be giving this rain alert? That is Indian Meteorological Department, IMD. So this article will be important regarding GS paper 1 under geography. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So if you see context, it mainly says that IMD, Indian Meteorological Department, that a low pressure area was likely to form in Bay of Bengal. So IMD mainly said that there is a low pressure area was likely to form in Bay of Bengal. So whenever this type of releases which is given by IMD, then IMD asked, Kerala State Electricity Board has asked mainly to keep a close watch on dam storage, because in Kerala we are having many dams here. So whenever levels which are mainly high means whenever we are getting heavy rainfall, that means flooded water will be coming into these dams. So whenever we are maintaining correct level of this damage to dam storage, we cannot open, we will not open this gates abruptly. So whenever we are opening gates abruptly, that will lead to flooding of nearby regions. So because of this, IMD said that we are going to expect low pressure area that will likely form in Bay of Bengal. So in this context here, IMD asked the state, Kerala State Electricity Board, made to keep a close watch on dam storage capability and to increase hydel generation to maintain safe water levels. Okay, so this is context and details. And now let us focus on some facts regarding this IMD, Indian Meteorological Department. So this organization was established in year 1875 and it is an agency of Ministry of Earth Sciences of Government of India. And it is one of principal agency, and this agency mainly responsible for meteorological observations and weather forecasting and as well as seismology. So these are some important things that you need to remember. And now let us move on to next topic. Title says FATF review of India put off again. So this article mainly talking about FATA review on India. So recently we discussed about this FATF in our Pakistan issue, right? So Pakistan remained in grey list of this FATF. So if you're talking about this article, why FATF it is reviewing India? Because whatever the steps are taken by India regarding this anti-money laundering, whether they are effective or not. So this is the thing mainly seen by this FATF review. Actually, this review has to be done in 2020 itself, but because of this coronavirus, this review it is mainly postponing. Okay, so this is some important background. So this article will be important regarding GS paper 3 under security. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So now let us see context. So if you see context, mainly says that FATF Financial Action Task Force to analyze the effectiveness of India's anti-money laundering and countering terrorist financing regime. So FATF mainly analyzing effectiveness of India's anti-money laundering and as well as countering terrorist financing. So it is mainly focusing on anti-money laundering and as well as terrorist financing. So if you see this FATF review, which mainly postponed for second time in view of pandemic, and it is expected to begin in September 2022. Actually, it used to happen in September 2020 itself. So now let us try to focus on some facts regarding this FATF. So FATF it is an intergovernment body and it mainly established in 1899. Okay, 1989 this mainly established as an intergovernmental body. And member countries are about 37 members. And secretariat mainly located at OECD and headquarters located at Paris. And if you're talking about objectives of this FATF, so first and foremost thing here is it need to set standards. It need to set standards that will be helpful for promoting or effective implementation of legal, regulatory and operational measures. So this will be very much helpful for combating money laundering, terror financing and other related threats. Okay, other related threats includes if there is any threats from integrity of international financial system, so it will take some actions. So this is about FATF and this article. And now let us try to see next topic. Title says Pegasus spyware used to snoop on journalists. So here in this article you need to focus on this, what is this Pegasus. So in prelims you can expect questions like recently this Pegasus is seen in news, what it is related to. So in this way you can expect questions in your prelims. So this topic will be again important from GS paper 3 under security and as well as from science and technology point of view. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So if you see context, it mainly says that telephone numbers of some 40 Indian journalists they leaked. Okay, they leaked through this Pegasus. So leaked list of potential targets of surveillance, and in recent forensic tests they said that they have confirmed that some of them, they were successfully snooped upon by unidentified agency, that is Pegasus software. So by using this Pegasus software, there is more than 40 journalists ID details are took by this Pegasus. And if you're talking about some facts regarding this Pegasus, it is a spyware, so which mainly developed by Israeli cyber arms, that is the NSO Group Technologies. So it is mainly uses exploits links, and as well as clicking on that links that will install Pegasus on targeted phone. So here by using this Pegasus, the users they can hack both iOS, that is Android, iOS, that is iPhones, and next one is Android devices by targeting vulnerabilities in operating systems. So here this is about this Pegasus. So Pegasus, it is a spyware normally. So it mainly developed by Israel cyber arms, mainly from NSO Group Technologies, and it also mainly uses exploited links, and as well as they will go for clicking on whenever they are sending some exploited links, whenever we are clicking on our mobile, that means it will install Pegasus easily, and with Pegasus they will have access to our mobiles. And by using this Pegasus spyware, it can even hack iOS, that is Apple phones, and even Android devices by targeting vulnerabilities in operating system. So this is just of this topic. I hope it is clear. Now let us see the next topic. Title C, sensitive and precise. So this article mainly talking about draft anti-trafficking bill. So here this topic will be very important from your polity point of view. So you can expect a mains question from this topic for sure in this year mains. So you need to know what are the provisions of this bill and what are the concerns, what is the significance. So here what is relevant from UPSC point of view, we are going to discuss that. Okay. So in yesterday's lecture we studied about some concerns of this bill, right? So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So this article mainly talking about draft Trafficking in Persons, Prevention, Care and Rehabilitation Bill 2021. So here, as we know that trafficking, which is a very pernicious offense, which is a very offense, it is unethical also. So because of this, society's governments, they must have zero tolerance towards this trafficking. And this bill, which will shortly be introduced in Parliament, an important aim of this bill, it is to prevent and also to countering trafficking in persons, and here it mainly talking about especially women and children, and also to provide care, protection and rehabilitation to victims while respecting their rights, and also to create a supportive legal, economic and also social environment for them. So what is this actually? So this bill mainly it is going to be introduced in Parliament. An important aim of this bill, it is to prevent and also to counter trafficking in persons. So persons means particularly this bill talking about women and as well as children. And they are also talking to provide care, protection and rehabilitation to victims. And we need to respect their rights. And also it creates a supportive legal, economic and also social environment for victims. So this is about some important aims. And now let us focus on provisions of this bill. So it mainly extends to all citizens who are present inside and as well as outside India. So outside India means who? So persons on any ship or aircraft who are registered in India. And next one is a foreign national or stateless person. For them also it is available, it is applicable. And next one is law will apply to every offense of trafficking in persons with cross-border implications. So this is one important thing. It also talking about cross-border implications. And next one is victims who are covered here. So it extends beyond protection of women, children, transgender also included. Transgender is also included for first time. And if you are talking about exploitation, so what is the meaning of exploitation? So it mainly talks about sexual exploitation, for example pornography, and as well as any act of physical exploitation, slavery or practices which is similar to that of slavery. And next one is forced labor or forced labor services, illegal clinical drug trials and illegal biomedical research. So these all will comes under exploitation definition now under this draft. And if you are talking about penalty, a minimum of 7 years penalty a penalty which will be extended up to 10 years along with fine of rupees 5 lakhs. And if you're talking about investigation agency, the nodal agency of investigation here is NIA, that is National Investigation Agency, okay, and this agency will be responsible for prevention and as well as combating of this trafficking. And if you're talking about significance of this bill, so first foremost thing you need to remember here, transgender community has been included. And next one is forced labor. Forced labor means people who are taken for jobs, and whenever they are reaching other countries, so their passports and documents will be taken up and they are made to work, okay. So this also covered in this new law. And next one is it also brings under scope of activity, that is organ harvesting, okay. Organ harvesting will also comes under this scope now. So if you're talking about legislations in India which mainly prohibits human trafficking, here is first we need to talk about articles. So article 23(1) which mainly talks about prohibition of this human trafficking. And we are having Immoral Traffic Prevention Act of 1956. So this act mainly penalizes trafficking for commercial sexual exploitation. And next one is this also prohibits bonded and as well as forced labor through Bonded Labor System Abolition Act of 1976. And we are also having Child Labor Prohibition and Abolition Act of 1986. We are also having Juvenile Justice Act. So under IPC we are having two sections, that is section 366A, section 372 which mainly prohibits kidnapping and as well as selling of minors into prostitution. And if you're talking about concerns we already discussed in our yesterday's lecture, first one is there is absence of provision of community-based rehabilitation for these people. And next one is sex work and as well as pornography, they also included under this definition of exploitation. But whenever we are including this pornography and as well as sex workers under this, so it mainly goes against right to choose their work, right to choice of work as a profession. And next one is there are also doubt regarding how this NIA, National Investigation Agency, which mainly gather information and intelligence at state level and as well as at a district level. Okay, so this is about this topic. And now let us see next topic. So before saying next topic, I want to make a small announcement on this platform. If you want to clear UPSC 2022, we came up with one excellent, highly beneficial and as well as highly economical course, that is current affairs package along with mains answer writing practice. So how this course will be useful? So one thing you need to remember here is before entering into examination hall, you need to know at least 1.5 year current affairs. And this is right time to join this course to cover this 1.5 years current affairs in a comprehensive manner. And why you need to focus on this current affairs? Because in prelims, in mains and even interview, you can get questions from current affairs. To answer those questions, you need to master current affairs. And this one is mains answer writing practice. Many students, especially who are freshers or beginners, they ignore this mains answer writing practice. So because of this, even though you are doing hard work and if you clear prelims, you cannot clear mains without answer writing skills. Here in this course, we are mainly focusing on how to improve your answer writing skills. And the next one is if you join this course, we also conduct prelims test on every Sunday and we provide video solutions also. So in this way, this course which is very much important and which is designed as per demand of UPSC. So finally, I want to say one thing. Please don't take this course as a choice. Try to join this course as soon as possible and achieve your dream of clearing UPSC. And the details of this course which is given in description box, so please visit that once. And if you want to talk to me directly, you can call to this number 8074765513. Okay, now let's come back and let us see next topic. Title says leaving the past behind. So this article mainly talking about Afghanistan and what is the role of neighbors they can be done mainly to protect Afghanistan here. Okay, so this article will be important regarding our international relations, okay, which mainly comes under GS paper 2. So recently Afghanistan, which is highly seen in news, so because of this you can expect a question regarding this Afghanistan in your mains. So now let us try to understand this topic in a great detail. So recently 2 events in Central Asia happened. So in these 2 events India attended. So first event is meeting in that should be of contact group of Afghanistan of SCO foreign ministers. So Shanghai Cooperation Organization foreign ministers, they met. Okay, so this is first meeting. And second one is Central and South Asia Connectivity Conference that happened in Tashkent. These are two meetings recently held. Okay, so in these meetings, these meetings are important because these meetings that held just days after US and NATO completed their pullout from Bagram Air Base. Okay, from Bagram Air Base, so US and as well as NATO forces, they withdraw their troops. And as well as in many key locations also US withdrawal that happened. So because of this, we can see that there is increase in violence. Okay, here it is very much clear that Taliban are making advances to return into power. So in this context, what are the concerns? So Taliban's attacks on border posts and as well as even Central Asian country borders and Spin Boldak Charman border with Pakistan. So here these areas, okay, this Spin Boldak Charman border with Pakistan, which is mainly acting as an important and as well as it is a very much important for training of Taliban's here. So here this type of attacks are mainly done by Taliban, mainly to attain greater territorial control under their hands. And we need to cut off that crucial supply chains here. So here we need to ensure peace in Afghanistan, and we need to stop Taliban from crossing over and ensuring Taliban conduct some peace negotiations. Okay, and if you're talking about India and Central Asian states, so what are the concerns? So for India and as well as some Central Asian states, so we are having mainly worries about violence at frontiers and as well as resultant refugee influx and even extremism and support to transnational groups. For example, if you are talking about Afghanistan, so here it is sharing boundary with Uzbekistan, so and so, right? So there are many Central Asian countries which are having boundary with this Afghanistan. So what happened here, whenever Taliban which is attacking people here, so these people, they mainly fled to nearby country, they will cross border. So because of this, here these countries, they having the problem of mainly refugees, resultant refugees, and as well as at borders we are seeing there will be some violence here. Okay, so because of this, what happened, one more cause of concern here is this Taliban, they are mainly supporting some transnational groups, for example Al-Qaeda, LET, Lashkar-e-Taiba, and as well as Jaish-e-Mohammed, ETIM, and as well as IMU. So this also happened in earlier under Taliban rule. Again, this is one cause of concern now. So what is the way forward? So we need to include neighborhood voice. For example, Central and as well as South Asian countries, they need to include and they need to emerge more united, and they need to protect gains of Afghanistan which happened from the last 2 decades onwards. Okay, so this is just of this topic. I hope it is clear. By this we are concluding today. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to like, share and comment my videos. And don't forget to subscribe to this current affairs package. Thank you so much.